Now all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to Jesus. And the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling and saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. "Which of you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? When he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders and rejoices. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost.' Just so I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one of them, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? When she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, 'Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost.' Just so I tell you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents." The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
You may be seated. Parables. More parables. Now, the great thing with parables, and I imagine most of you have heard this parable, these parables, may even know them well. The great thing with parables, of course, is that they are layered with meaning. They're designed so that you can't come to a clear and obvious answer, that you have to wrestle with what is being said and try to formulate some understanding in the midst of what does not make full sense. And that way, it's not like a moral. It doesn't have a moral at the end of the story. It leaves you with more questions, but it makes you look at something in a new way, in a different light. And the parables for today certainly do that. Imagine a shepherd has 100 sheep and loses one. And the group there is listening to Jesus and they go, okay. And then they abandon the 99 and seek out the one until it's found. And the group goes, why would they do that? Right? Why would they do that? And when we start to wrestle with that, why? Why would you leave 99 good sheep to follow the one sheep that's got their own agenda? Why would you leave the 99 good for the one? And when you think about it on so many levels, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make good business sense. At the very least, why would you sacrifice 99 for one? And you go on, and it doesn't make logical sense. It's unreasonable. It's rash. There's nothing about that behavior that clicks, that would make you think, oh, this is a good shepherd. In fact, and maybe you could justify some looking, right? The sheep's gone. You look around. You retrace your steps. You can't find the sheep. Okay, you go back to the 99. But what's fascinating in the parable, there is no dialogue about returning to the 99 ever, even after finding the one lost. At no point in the story does the shepherd go back to the 99. Once the shepherd leaves the 99 do what? We don't know. We're totally left unknown. So maybe a good shepherd arranges for someone to watch the sheep while the shepherd goes out and finds the lost. Or maybe the good shepherd calls the manager and arranges a team to go out and look for the lost sheep. Or maybe the good shepherd goes out and looks for the sheep for a reasonable amount of time and then returns. the text says, having lost the sheep, you look for the lost one until you find it. I mean, have you ever looked for something till you found it and never found it? At some point, you got to just give up, right? You just quit. You got to just give up. At some point, you have to understand you got to move on with your life. You're not going to find it. You got to let it go. You got to go back to the 99 who need you. I was realizing as I reflected on this text that there's only one type of person. Well, I'll say 1.5. So there's kind of 2 types of people. But there's really one type of person that abandons all reason and logic and sense for the sake of one. And that's somebody who's madly crazy in love with somebody. Right? And usually I'm thinking like a teenage boy. That is somebody who's madly crazy in love with somebody, abandons all their friends, doesn't listen to what the parents have to say in their life, gives up all reason, logic, common sense, and seeks out the one that they believe they are in love with. To heck with the consequences. Now maybe at some point that was you in your life, where you abandoned all reason and sought out someone that you loved. And I hope it worked out great and you're sitting with them today and life has been all rosy. But realistically, most of us know it doesn't always go well. It's more complicated than that. Sometimes you sacrifice everything for that one and they crush you. Right? I mean, that's just the reality of the world we live in. But that's the kind of recklessness that we're talking here. Reckless love, where you abandon all reason, common sense, to seek out and connect with the one whom you love. Now, the other, like I said, half person that kind of does this is somebody who does search and rescue or some kind of emergency response, who is willing to set aside whatever, their time, their day, to seek for someone who's a total stranger, that they may not know at all, to seek them out within reason until they hopefully find them. But again, there's some reason involved. I mean, you don't sacrifice 99 for the sake of one. You don't abandon your family for the sake of one. And there's community around that. It's not reckless abandonment. But to a certain extent, it takes a certain kind of crazy to drop everything and seek out someone lost until they find them. It takes a certain amount of dedication, passion, and love. And that's what Jesus tells us God is like when it comes to you. That God would seek